G'day, Symbolic. I hope you don't mind me weighing in with my completely unsolicited 2 cents worth, but there were a couple of points on your video that I just felt like I had to respond to. Not in an adversarial way, just because I felt like I had something to contribute.
But really, I have to kind of laugh at the idea of an atheist community. I mean, I know people, it's popular for people to use the word community, and I think we create communities that actually don't exist, but...
Yeah, I really don't know where you're coming from with this one. I think you're way off base on that. I mean, of course, atheistic freethinkers are generally a very disparate set, but I really think that, especially in the face of the recent spate of vote-bot and flagging attacks, many YouTube atheists, especially the militant atheists, the new atheists, have really been welded together into a cohesive community of people who provide mutual support. I mean, if someone I subscribe to makes a video saying, life's getting me down, I tend to find that I'm about the 50th person in a list of familiar names who are rallying around to provide a supportive environment. I mean, look at Edible Napalm's tireless efforts in the face of the vote-botters. He made about 50 boring as hell videos just listing everybody who'd been vote-botted, and he was instrumental in turning the vote-bot attacks into the massive backfire that they were, because people were watching his videos and subbing to the vote-bot victims. So thanks to him and Freethinker with his Best of Atheism vids, thanks to them, a great many of the YouTube atheists are now all subbed to each other's channels. It's almost incestuous how closely interconnected all the YouTube atheists have become now. Well, again, all, but a great many. In fact, I go so far as to say that there is a YouTube atheist community, and that community forms an important part of at least some people's support structure. Finding themselves surrounded by the religious out in the real world, they find it necessary to come here just to be able to interact with some like-minded individuals.
Some people really need their faith, and to strip it away from them is a very cruel thing. It's an extremely cruel thing.
You're right, and there's an ethical issue that I have personally struggled with, especially given that I perceive there to be overwhelming historical and sociological evidence that faith is a dangerous and destructive force in society. So I have these 2 conflicting impulses, one compassionate, the other altruistic.
And atheism really has nothing to offer. So I'm amazed when I see atheists attacking people's faith, because let's say they manage to tear down somebody's faith, right or wrong. Whether the atheist happens to be right or wrong, what do they offer in return?
Well, you're perfectly right. Atheism isn't an ideology. It doesn't have a set of positive beliefs, a new belief structure to replace the old one. Atheism is a doorway out of delusion and into reality. It provides an opportunity to replace invalid beliefs with valid ones that you arrive at independently. I mean, if a surgeon cuts a cancer out of your body, what's he offer in return to replace the cancer? Nothing. As I like to say, to paraphrase Germaine Greer, a human being without religion is like a fish without a bicycle.
And are they going to, if they really do shatter someone's faith, are they going to assist that person? What are they going to give that person to help them?
Well, you're right. I mean, besides welcoming them to the atheist community and pointing them in the direction of secular humanism, there really isn't much to offer. However, I think your question is an academic one, because, at least in my experience, people don't lose their faith during an argument. Nobody gets argued out of their faith. The deconversion stories that I've heard indicate that it's a gradual process, a very internal, personal process of examining one's own faith, one's own beliefs, and seeing whether, in all intellectual honesty, they really do mesh with reality and with your own morality. So the point of atheistic arguments isn't to try and deconvert somebody on the spot, it's just to try and stir up a bit of that cognitive dissonance that might get that process started, help it along a bit.
Now, whether atheists are right or wrong, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, I do, depending which God you're talking about, of course. If we're talking Yahweh and Allah, then they are simple, logical impossibilities. You can either be loving, just, and merciful, or you can send billions of people to be tortured in hell. These are mutually exclusive concepts. Anything whose defining characteristics abrogates the basic logical absolute of A can never equal not A is nonsense. Deism, on the other hand, the jury's out and it doesn't look like it's coming in anytime soon.
But if they are right, well, let's say they're wrong. If they're wrong, they've really committed a grave error, right? If they're right, well, what have they done? They've basically, broken down a shell that gives someone meaning.
Is it just me, or was that just a mutant form of Pascal's wager?
If you're an atheist, really, one of the main things you face is you have to come face to face with possible meaninglessness.
I'd say that's a somewhat simplistic way of putting it. Certainly, as an apostate, one must make peace with the fact that the desire for some kind of absolute cosmic meaning imposed from above is a childish one, and that this is a necessary step on the path to finding real meaning.
Certainly mortality and the fact that you may die and there may be no continuation after you die. It may just be like that film that when the film ends, it just goes click, 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 click. That may be your life.
Very poetically put.
And you have to come to grips with that, and the fact that your life may ultimately be meaningless.
Hold the phone. I mean, do we not all abhor the tragic folly of suicide? Do we not all laud bravery and cherish family? Every little positive thing we do is of some value, and as it slips away into the past, it is set in stone for so long as the universe exists. Just a little ways back that way, along the fourth dimension. I fail to see how this kind of meaning is negated by the mere fact that we die, or how there can truly be any other kind of meaning that we might label ultimate.
There's no transcendent moral code that can unify all people in the world.
Well, not yet, but I hold out hope.
You have to basically study and read and learn, read literature.
Yes, exactly.
Of course, what's happening in the United States, where I live today, is we've let our educational system just deteriorate for decades now, and even our whole republic is based on the concept that unless you have an educated citizenry, you will lose your freedoms. It's easy to be manipulated by people seeking power. We're just generally, in my mind, we're going through a complete degeneration.
That's a bit dramatic, isn't it? I mean, look at the broader historical perspective. In the past couple of centuries, we've gone from slavery to women's suffrage to gay rights. I can't see that broad and strongly positive historical trend in the moral consensus being reversed by anything less than the total collapse of civilization. Well, that's what I think anyway.